What's up, y'all? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good week as always. I want to talk about the not the Make America Great Again dress, but it's a build a wall dress. It's Joy Villa. She got pretty famous a few years ago when she did a MAGA dress, and she's wearing a build a wall dress, and it's really blown up on social media. I posted it on Instagram and Twitter. And what I like about it, and the real reason I want to talk about it, because it's just a dress, but I want to talk about what it reveals about America, because I've kind of cracked out of my own echo chamber, and a lot of people that are sharing it, most people who are sharing it are actually people who don't like the dress. And I want to connect with this audience, these people. I mean, some of them are my friends, and, I'm in the hip hop industry myself. I make music. I'm not, a square by any means. So I want to say what this reveals about America. And it's not going to be what a lot of people think I'm going to say, because I like to use things like this to really bridge a gap and let people know some real stuff rather than some stuff that doesn't matter. So we'll wait about 15, 20 seconds, and then I'm just going to jump into it because I don't want to make people wait too long. What's going on, guys? We'll listen to some music for a second, then we'll jump into it.
Used to be a savage, You don't wanna see me panic. Got the vision now, don't even need assistance. Bob Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I'll be too confident drama.
All right, let's give it like 30 seconds and we'll start it up. Vibe out for a little bit.
I'm for real, Bob Ross. Yeah, I used to be a savage. You don't wanna see me panic.
What's up, Wendy? I see you. We got Travis, Christina. We the best. I make a good DJ.
The devil but went back to be myself. Got these girls kneeling for me, they like happy NFL. Oh man, why they say I be pro LGBT?
Start it up in a second. I don't want to make you guys wait too long. All right. I like to do a radio DJ thing here. So let's start it up, because I know people who are new that are watching probably don't want to sit through 5 minutes of me talking, waiting. Thank you guys for joining. I see y'all. So the real reason I want to talk today is because Joy Villa, she wore a build a wall dress, and it definitely broke the internet a little bit on Facebook. I think I got like 12,000 likes in an hour. On Twitter, literally every 10 seconds, it's people retweeting it. Half are Trump supporters, half are Trump not supporters, and a lot of like verified accounts are tweeting it. So hopefully now that, it's buzzing a little bit, people watch this video. I want to explain what this represents about America. We'll get into the dress, we'll get into the wall, but what I really, and I've been trying to make for a long time now, what I really want the hip hop community to understand, the R&B community, the music industry, the entertainment industry, it's very, very liberal, and it's very, very, Black empowerment. You got Black culture, Black music, hip hop, R&B. You have LGBT is rising, the women's movement's rising. You have all these like intersectional activist movements going on. And I don't care, it's all love for me. If it's true empowerment, it's true empowerment. But what I'm here to tell my people, and it's not in a negative way, there's nothing racist, sexist, or xenophobic about it. It's strictly empowerment. What I'm talking about today is people are getting so played, used, and manipulated that I have to say something. And you have to understand that the government, the media, the elites, the powerful white man or Jewish man that everybody likes to blame, they're not going to tell you, hey, I want to take your money. Hey, I want to take your freedom. Hey, I want to take your taxes. Like it's not that easy to take over people by telling them the truth, like, hey, we're going to do all this stuff. So what they do is they lie to you. They put false leaders in front of your communities, whether it be the LGBT community, the Black community, the women's community, the white liberal community, you name it. And they mislead you into giving up your own freedoms and your own control. I want to read 2 quotes real quick before I start, and then I'm going to jump into what I say. So if you don't believe me, we're going to listen to 2 very prolific Black leaders. Obviously controversial, but that's what we do here. I'm not going to give you some cookie cutter, quote. This one's first by Malcolm X, and I share this one a lot because it's very, very rare. The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power, because they control the minds of the masses. What Malcolm X was saying is the media has the power to make the victim look like the oppressor look like the victim. And you have to understand, whether you're a Trump supporter, whether you're a Trump hater, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Jewish, Latino, Christian, Muslim, whatever, they're going to try to manipulate you. If you're a girl, they need to sell you makeup. They need to sell you pills. They need to sell you, they're trying to make a killing off you, and everyone knows it. So you got to be very skeptical, because if you don't watch yourself, you're going to get played, no matter if you're conservative, no matter if you're liberal, no matter if you're left, right, black, white, whatever. Be very cautious. And when people get too cocky and arrogant on either side of the political debate, you start getting manipulated, because when you're a know-it-all and you don't have the ability to consider and to be self-accountable and to reflect and to learn, and I always say, be considerate. Consideration is important. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe what Malcolm X just said. But if you don't consider it, you're doing a major disservice to yourself. You have to consider it. And if you just block it out, whether it be for religious reasons or political reasons, you're lying to yourself. You're going to get manipulated by the media. I'm going to read the quote one more time, then we're going to go on to a Marcus Garvey quote. And then I'm going to let you know what the media and what the entertainment industries are doing. They're actually manipulating your social justice, whether it be black empowerment, feminist empowerment, LGBT empowerment, liberal empowerment. They're manipulating you into thinking that big government and high government control of your money and freedom and industries is a good idea, which is really strange, because all the people that are commenting about the Joy Villa dress, I don't care if you don't like the dress. I don't care if you don't like Trump. I truly don't care. But do you want government to control every aspect of your life? I don't think so. I don't think people do, because they don't like Trump. They don't like the U.S. government, which I get why you're skeptical of it. So why would you want to give all your power, money, and freedom to them? It makes no sense. The hip hop community is being duped, exploited, and lied to. The R&B community, the women, like, you guys are following false leaders. We'll read the Malcolm X quote again, and we're going to move on. The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. That's power. They control the minds of the masses. And when you look at the media, when you look at the entertainment industry, when you look at, all culture, all of the social media sites from Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, it's all owned by liberals. Do you notice that the media, have you noticed yet that the media does not like Donald Trump? Do you think it's because they're on his side? No, they can't stand the guy. Just like Malcolm X was saying, they don't like the legends, and they don't like Trump. They're not supporting him. He's got every media figure from Jim Carrey writing, these weird little paintings. Anyway, this next one's from Marcus Garvey. We are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, because whilst others might free the body, none but ourselves can free the mind. This was Marcus Garvey speaking in Melanick's Hall, Sydney, Nova Scotia, 1937, warning his people. We might have been able to free our bodies, but if we don't free our minds, that's how they get you. Slavery's no longer legal unless you are Nike and you have like slave labor factories in other countries. Just kidding, but who knows? There's an element of truth there. And, in Libya, they're enslaving people. In other countries, you don't have the freedoms you have in America. But if they can't take care of you physically, they need to mentally control you, and then they can get you to give your money, power, and freedom over to the federal government. And that's what they're doing. And, people who are upset and whatnot here, you guys are welcome, because this is not for my own audience, really. It's mostly for people who don't listen to me and people who are, skeptical of Joy's dress. And I'm going to get into that stuff in a second. If you don't like the government, sorry, I turned my mic off. If you don't like Donald Trump, you should not support politicians and social and political movements that put all of the money and power and control into the hands of the federal government. And that's what liberals and Democrats actually do. I've been more left-leaning my entire life. I've written literal 10-page, theses, I guess would be the probably the plural, but on, the prison system and, how, the war on drugs was a failure. I'm not foreign to these social movements. I've literally spent half of my life in those echo chambers. But then what I realized was we're getting played. the left wing, and there's phonies on the right too, but the left wing takes advantage of, first of all the media. And if you look at every terrible regime ever, I mean, if you don't like my rap music, it's all good. I see you in the comments, but why don't you go record an album or something? You should record an album that's better than my stuff, instead of, like, it's such an energy waste. I'm just going to be a life coach for you now. You should focus on your own career, my man. There's no benefit to making 5 accounts and just talking trash. It's a very weak move. But anyway, they take advantage of you socially. They take advantage of your compassion and kindness, and then they use it against you. And I ask all my friends who are in the hip hop community and do stuff, do you like taxes? Most people don't like taxes. Most people don't want to give their money over to the federal government. And it doesn't really work like people think it does. In California, you have the highest taxes. They tax people the most. You have gas tax, that tax, this income tax, house property tax. They tax every aspect of your life. It doesn't lead to freedom. It doesn't lead to equality. It leads to a skewed economy where you have more people in poverty in California than you have in any other state. So highest taxes, highest poverty, most small businesses leaving the country to China. It doesn't work for anyone. It actually incentivizes poverty. And this is honestly what the hip hop community does. Who, like I said, my man, you guys are playing yourself. If you're making a bunch of accounts, I'll just leave you here, because you're making accounts to say my music is trash. I have 250 million views on my political videos, and I have millions of song downloads and views and streams on my music, and I'm no manager, no label, no. That's why I'm able to say this stuff. Like I said, do me a favor. You're not bothering me, but do yourself a favor and work on your career. Go for a jog, maybe work out or read a book or something. Do something to benefit your life instead of wasting your time. It's a huge energy drain for you. Not me. I feed off it. But this is what they do. And they've convinced the entire music and hip hop industry. The reason I'm saying this off of Joy's, we're going to get into the wall and stuff in a second, but it's like all these comments are just being nasty towards her. And because I got this picture viral by mistake, I just tweeted it, and people are so angry at her, at Trump and her dress. And like I said, I'm very, very considerate. So I would understand that if people actually had a politician that they supported or liked that made sense. But people support more left-leaning people, which means higher taxes, Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms. They're very iffy on it. Now they're talking about openly killing a baby mid-birth. Like literally, it's like 9 months in, halfway through birth. I mean, you could look up Margaret Sanger and her history, and even just abortions in general. It's very sketchy, but I think we can all at least agree, even if you're pro-choice, that killing a baby mid-birth because a woman has mental problems, it doesn't make much sense. It's very creepy. It's literally like baby murder. It's insane. But this is the stuff they're getting away with. You have slavery in Libya. Between Obama and Hillary Clinton, they went to the leader of Libya, who actually, I don't know if you guys like or dislike Farrakhan, but Louis Farrakhan, a lot of black activists really like him. He was friends with Gaddafi, and Gaddafi got murdered, and now there's slavery in Libya, literal enslavement of African people. And it's not the big scoop, because people are brainwashed by mass media and music. They're more mad at Joy Villa for breaking the simulation. Dude, it's really incredible. How many accounts do you have? It's honestly, I mean, it's maybe, hopefully you're getting paid for this. Hopefully you're like an operative. If you do this on your spare time, that's really sad. But people are so mad she broke the simulation, because they're like, oh, but they don't. I'm like, do you realize that Trump is, although I don't think he even goes far enough, lower taxes, protection of personal liberties a little bit. I could say I'd even go further with like someone like a Rand Paul, but they get played so hard by Democrats. And it's like you have the whole music industry who claims that they like taxes and they're anti-government, or they hate taxes and they're anti-government. Yet all they do is support Democrats and liberals who literally, they're the friend who says something to your back and says, ha ha ha, we're your friend. We love the blacks. We love the Hispanics. We love the Latinos. We love the Asians. And then they're like, dude, we just got these idiots to give us their money. They're literally just handing us their tax money. We've convinced them to mentally enslave themselves. They're giving us their money. We've got them marching. We have women marching in the streets against their own will. They're marching to give up their own rights in name, like they've convinced people to be zombies. And that's what I want to get through. We'll talk about the wall in a second, but if you like rap music and hip hop music and you really hate Trump, just consider the fact that you're being socially engineered by people who want you to be weak, pathetic. They want you to hate small government. They want you to hate personal freedom. They want you to hate yourself, literally. They want you to hate your country. They want your families broken up. There's been, since the civil rights movement and a lot of other social movements, obviously there's many great elements that are undeniable and undebatable. Well, anything's debatable technically, but you know what I'm saying. If you really look at statistics of white families and black families and even other, other races, they're crushing our families. Our families don't stay together anymore. In the black community, it's as high as 70%. In the white community, it's up to like 30, 40%. I don't know now, but it's like they're breaking up our families. They're breaking up our faith. They're making us weak and pathetic. I know a lot of black activists, a lot of rappers, I hear them say on hip hop sites that the media is trying to weaken the black man. They're trying to demasculine, to make the black man, feminine. I agree. I agree with all of these hip hop artists who consider themselves black activists, who say that they're trying to feminize the black man so they're not strong in their community. Completely right. You're completely right. But the problem is then they just go on this weird, it's like they know the truth and then they're like, yeah, well, I'll vote for high taxes and less personal liberty because I really hate Trump. And it's like they're doing it to everybody. They're doing it to the white community as well. They're doing it to white women. They're breaking up the genders. They're perverting the normal balance of like society to the point where it's like people don't know up from down, left from right. There's 2 genders, there's 3 genders, there's 59 genders, there's 1,000 genders. Now it's at the point where it's like if you're a straight man, they have a name for you, cisgendered, like they've given you a derogatory name to just say that you're actually who you are. It's insane. And they're breaking up our communities and they're convincing, it's nutty to think that most of the, hip hop industry and music industry, they vote for higher taxes. They vote for bigger government, not smaller government. All they do is nonstop complain about government, and then they vote in big government. They vote against their own personal liberties. You have to understand, if you want to talk about Black American history, Emmett Till and other people like Emmett Till were a victim of the believe all women, or back then probably believe all white women, narrative of like women couldn't possibly lie. We have to believe women. We have to, like, that's what got Emmett Till hurt. That's what hurt a lot of people because our system wasn't based on content of character. Our system wasn't based on, like truth and evidence and witnesses and justice. Our system was strictly based on skin color and one woman's narrative. That's not justice. That hurt many Black people. I actually have a video, maybe I'll play it, of a woman, a Black woman, who explains that. She's like, you guys are insane. The youth, you guys are so spoiled and privileged and brainwashed by mass media that you're actually doing what many people have fought to stop. And she's like, you guys can go vote. Like, it's easy to vote now. The Democrats and the liberals, they baby you because they want you weak and pathetic. So you depend on the government and vote for bigger government so they control every aspect of your life. They don't want you to drive 5 minutes, pay $10 to get an ID and vote. That's easy. But they baby you because they want you weak, pathetic, and dependent. So I'm just letting you know. When I see people with this dress, I don't care if you don't like Trump. I don't care if you have a border, policy that you really want to debate. But what I notice, and what I've noticed for a while, and I'm using this as a vehicle to talk about, is they use rap culture and Black culture to convince a bunch of like 21 to 19-year-old kids and even like 30-year-old people who act like they're trendy and wear Supreme or Gucci or just follow whatever the rappers are doing. They've convinced you into supporting big government. They've convinced you into supporting high taxes. That's handing your money to the federal government, who's trillions of dollars in debt. They started a war in Libya. They started a war in Syria. They started a war in Iraq. They're doing God knows what in Somalia and Yemen. They're doing God knows what in Venezuela now. I don't even trust that. you're giving your money to them. You're voting for people and supporting politicians who lie to you. Trump is the type of person that says, you have something on your face, clean it off. That's what a real friend does. They don't say, you look great, and then you go out in public and everyone makes fun of you. That's what a liar and a snake does. That's what the liberals do. We're going to play a clip of Malcolm X real quick because nobody said it better than Malcolm. And if people don't believe me, hopefully you'll believe him, because a lot has changed, but a lot ideologically has not changed. Let's get it in. Dude, it's insane. The one dude made like 10 accounts. I mean, you gotta really have no life. Where are we at? Let's see. Here we go. This is Malcolm X before he got murdered.
I think there are many whites who act friendly, but being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chopped in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that
I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative. And in the same.
So if you catch his drift, what he's saying is he's like, if you really look, he's like, there's a difference between a fox and a wolf or whatever. And he's saying conservatives don't pretend like they're going to save the black community. Like conservatives basically say, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You know, you can do it. And a lot of people don't like that. They like the kindness and compassion. But the liberals, what Malcolm X is saying, they're not really kind and compassionate. What they do is they pose as the friend, and then they own the black community psychologically, economically, politically, literally, and nothing has changed. Listen else what he says.
The fox differs from the wolf. I'm suspicious of whites who join Negroes and always have to be in the lead, who always have to be the head, who always have to be at the top in Negro organizations. Those whites who really have the interest of blacks at heart, let them give some advice to some Negroes and stand on the sideline, but don't join the organization and then get at the head of it and pose as a friend of Negroes.
today you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberal.
All right. So if you guys could hear what Malcolm was saying is the white host said, well, you know, it's not just white people who are betraying the black community. He's like, there's also black people who betray the black community. And Malcolm X said, name me one black leader who's betrayed the black community that wasn't sanctioned, supported, promoted, and, subsidized by the white liberal. And if you look at from Al Sharpton to, I don't want to name others, but dude, they're all propped up by Democrats. All the worst black leaders are propped up by Democrats. And all of the best black leaders are hated on. They're smeared. They're destroyed by the media. You have to understand, the media does this in every community. And this is where I really wish we could get together on this page, because I feel where a lot of rappers are coming from. They know the media is lying. They know that they're misleading the black men to be weak and feminine, which is very true. But it's happening in every community, and they don't want the strongest black leaders to survive. I'll give you an example. We'll go to every race I could think of. All right. So first, you have Jewish, and a lot of people say, well, Jewish people own and control a lot of media, and they control the financial institutions. And there's an element of truth there. Jewish people own a lot of stuff for a very small percentage of people. However, look what happens when a Jewish person comes along and tries to empower their people against liberals. Start with Roseanne. Roseanne is a progressive left-leaning person. She's not even a conservative. She starts standing up for the working class people. She says she likes Trump. She starts questioning the liberal agenda, says a tweet that didn't make sense to a lot of people, and completely blacklisted, completely destroyed. Now, every single thing that she says, no matter what she says, no matter how true it is, no matter what her intentions were, she's done. They blacklisted her. Laura Loomer, Jewish, conservative, decides to do investigative journalists and call out all of the malpractice and total falsities of media and liberal politicians. Blacklisted, banned from pretty much anything, banned from PayPal, pretty much gone on everything. Let's go David Horowitz. He owns a foundation where he tries to, basically fight extremists and stand up for basic American values, which are freedom. And David Horowitz was not only pretty much blacklisted from a lot of things, but I believe MasterCard decided to shut accounts down on this thing. Like, you have big financial institutions. So another one real quick, then I'm going to move on. Howard Schultz. Someone said the Hodge twins. Yeah, they're hilarious and strong. Howard Schultz is Jewish. He's running independently, and they keep asking him, if you watch Howard Schultz interviews, don't believe the media. If you watch Twitter, they say, oh, Howard Schultz doesn't know how much a box of Cheerios are. Cheerios are basically poison. Like, I mean, you look at the ingredients. I'm not saying literally poison, but cereal is not as healthy as they told you it was. It's not full of multi-grains of vitamins and minerals. Like, it's not that great. I'm sure it does have vitamins and minerals, but it's not. Who cares how much Cheerios cost? That's not the big scoop. The reason they say that is because he's an honest Democrat. He says, I'm not running in the Democratic Party. I'm running independently. You know why? Because our government doesn't work. It doesn't work on the right. It doesn't work on the left. And he said, the Democratic Party is too far left for me. Their policies don't make sense. That's why he's getting smeared. So they don't care if you're Jewish. If you're black and you're a decent leader for, your community, they don't want you to exist. I mean, Kanye West is simply saying very, very key stuff. And honestly, with the slavery comment, this is going to be controversial, but whatever. I think he misspoke. However, if you keep making mistakes mentally, and you're going to get played again. So a bare minimum, Kanye was like, dude, there's a choice now that people are making where people are mentally enslaving themselves, watching fake media, listening to fake politicians, buying fake products, eating fake food, living a fake life, getting fake results, getting horrible results. And then they're blaming other people, where it's like, we have the choice now to have free will and destiny in this country. And what Kanye was simply trying to explain, although I think he misframed it probably, is wake up, guys. And he makes a lot of very valid statements. He says, listen, a white teacher told my black daughter that she was half black, half white, and that daddy was black and mommy was white. And it confused the crap out of her. And he said, it was a white teacher who said that. So my daughter was free. She wasn't thinking about what color she was. She wasn't thinking mommy and daddy are different. That's all my family. I love them equally. The white progressive teacher screwed up the daughter. And Kanye was mad because he's like, leave your politics and, leave your social engineering out of this. He's on to some real stuff. And look how they treated him. They're trying to ruin his life because he's trying to break the matrix of how the black community is still being controlled, mind controlled, manipulated, and honestly owned by the white and in many cases Jewish and now black and Asian and Indian liberal. It's the liberal party that is mind controlling the black community, and it's the rap communities. They're all playing along. That's why Kanye's such a threat. It's not because he wears the MAGA hat. Yeah, that's a big threat because it breaks the narrative. And in order to control, like an authoritarian fascism control, like they say, let's look at pretty much every authoritarian fascist country ever, and then we'll look at our country, and let's see where the parallels really are. I could play some other stuff too, but I'll just tell you about it. In order to be a real fascist authoritarian, you have to control the media. So who controls the media? It's liberals. Fox News is the only conservative network. Of course, there's Sinclair Broadcasting that has a lot of local conservative stuff, but when it comes to mainstream television, Fox News is mostly conservative. They have a few liberals on there. The rest of the TV is 100% liberal, and if you're conservative, they will try to ruin your life. So they own 95% of the television. Let's go to the tech companies, which are now socially engineering people. You have Twitter, Facebook, Google, YouTube, all of these tech companies. They're 100% controlled and owned by liberals who are rigging the search algorithms in many cases like Google, and now, certain elements of YouTube. They're kicking certain people off for policy things, but then other people who do 20 times worse things that break the policy, they don't kick off. They're all liberal. You can't be a fascist authoritarian if you don't control the media and the tech companies. Now let's go to, like, how would you get authoritarian or fascist control? You do it by big government. I'm not going to get into, I hate to make the stereotypical Hitler comparison because there's elements of, different things and stuff, but lots of fascists, they do so by big government. They take control of the health industry. They take control of everything. They raise taxes and get people to give them stuff, and then they have it. And that's what the left wing does. Trump, he said the other night in his State of the Union, he said, we're never going to be a socialist country. This country was built on personal freedom and liberty and these values. There's nothing fascist about that. That's anti-fascism. That's saying we're not going to give government all the control of stuff. The control belongs to the people. And that's, of course, corporations have a lot of control, but big government never works. Big government has worked 0% of the time. I mean, when you go socialism and communism, you're handing money, power, and control, and in some cases, health industry, into the hands of the government. That's a terrible idea. And people have been socially engineered to truly believe that. Someone said we're already socialists. We have elements, but like I said, I'm going to use an example, and I would love for people to, counter it, have your own decisions. California has the highest taxes, the highest. California has the most small businesses leaving to China. You don't have to stay in the States or in the country. If you raise taxes, in theory, yeah, we'll raise it on the rich, but the rich will just leave. That's what happens. And if they go full socialist communist here, they're going to be screwed. And it's already backfiring. You have the most poverty in California. You have a homelessness problem. It's not getting better in California. Do you know why? Because the government can't fix all our problems. And if you give money to them, many times they're incompetent. The VA, which is Veterans Government Healthcare, that's government-controlled healthcare, they get $200 billion, and it's very poor quality. The government is not effective in almost anything that they do. So why would you want to give them control of stuff? I'm all for regulating big pharma and holding, doctors accountable, but big government's not the answer. It never works. All they do is take more and more money from small businesses, more and more money from the working class, more and more money even from the upper class, and they lose it. If you're a billionaire, you can choose to put your money anywhere. It is a lot of money, but if you're the government, you could spend $1 billion like that. They spend $1 billion probably every single day, like every single couple hours. I don't know the true statistics, but it's like they run through billions of dollars. It's not like they could take Jeff Bezos's money, Bill Gates's money, and spend it in 2 days and have nothing to show for it and still be trillions of dollars in debt. Like, that's just the truth. And I'm trying to wake up this community because I understand a lot of conservatives can be annoying. I understand a lot of Republicans can be very lame and off-putting, and they don't know how to talk to people, and they don't like to dance or listen to music. Not all of them, but I'm just saying I understand why people might think it's crazy, but I'm starting to learn, and I've learned before, and the further left you go, the further they control everything. And if they take control of the presidency, and they take control of the House and the Senate, and they have the media, and they have the tech companies, that's how you get fascism authoritarian. Further left you go is bigger government on an economic scale. Further right you go is actually anarchy. I'm getting messages. Someone said I dance. I'm sure you do. I'm just trying to speak to people who are annoyed with Republicans. I got a message the other day from someone in the punk world. And he said, Anomaly, punk was made on anarchy. Like, literally, punk used to be all about anarchy. Anarchy is actually a far right-wing ideology when it comes to economics. It's no government, no control. Anarchy is literally no laws and no rules. Now the punk community is literally turning fascist and communist, where they're supporting socialism. Socialism is almost the near opposite of anarchy. So the punk community is getting punked, literally. And I say this stuff because I truly am trying to help people. And it's like, dude, we're getting totally played here. I'll read some super chats, then we'll move on. The rap community is being played. The punk, you're literally getting socially engineered by the elites, by the government, they're convincing you to give them all your power, money, and control. And when you look at the rap industry, they're promoting like pure stupidity. They're promoting unintelligence. They're promoting big government. They're promoting activities that will not lead you to prosperity. And they know that. They know that. They don't care. They're making billions of dollars. A lot of rappers say, I don't even do pills. Well, why do you rap about them? I don't know, because they could kill a few million kids and make a few $1 million. They don't care. Thank you, MX. I appreciate that. That's very generous. Let me see. Roughing the Pastor Bear said, Drake just admitted how rigged the music biz is at the Grammys and they cut him off before he was done. I'm going to check it out. Drake's going full gangster on him, so I don't doubt it. Small Town said, I'm going to send you a private message. Please read it. It's important that people here read it. Where are you going to send me a private message? I'm not going to see it on here. My guy said, follow me. I use comedy. I'll see what I can do, brother. Thank you. InfoWars Bear said, the only way this country will survive is if we break up the media monopolies and defund the universities. They control the information streams. Not only break up. Here's my thing, brother. I feel what you're saying, but I tell the people, I don't care what race, religion, gender, what music or political preference you have. Hear me out. They sell it because we buy it. Whether it be the makeup industry, whether it be the music industry, whether it be the entertainment industry, whether it be politicians on the left and the right, they sell it because we buy it. Stop buying stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's a big game. I'm wearing a Nike hat now because I owned it before. I'm not a big fan of the company anymore, but it's like they talk about police brutality. The reason they talk about it, I mean, I don't know their true reasoning. Maybe they don't know what but if you look statistically, police brutality is 0.01%, roughly, give or take, 0.01% of Black murders in America. You want to talk about opioid crisis, obesity, heart disease, literal crime, people killing each other. It's like the 90% that they don't talk about. So they hone in on a small percentage, not because it empowers you. Talking about police brutality 99% of the time, it's not really empowering. It's a waste of time because the root causes of why things are happening, from 70% families are not staying together. They're demasculinizing the men. So men are weak and pathetic and need government control and can't handle their own. They don't want you to know the root of the problem. So you look to the government for money and you listen to these rappers who mislead you. I'm telling you. And Nike, they claim to be social activists, but literally, there's reports that they're paying people in sweatshops in other countries. It's the same thing as the liberals. They act like they love Africans, but then they kill the leader of Africa in Libya, Gaddafi, which leads to literal slavery. Like they're the wolves in sheep's clothing. They want you to be weak. They want you to not be able to hear comedy. You're mad at Kevin Hart. We're mad at Ellen. We're mad at Trump. We're mad at this. We're mad at blackface. Like, what's a bigger deal? The fact that someone put black on their face, or the fact that somebody killed the leader of Libya and now there's literal people getting enslaved? These are distractions. Although I will say the Democratic governor with the black face next to the KKK, that dude's a psycho. Like, that's crazy. But like the Gucci thing, dude, the whole Gucci thing is a scam. It's Gucci. You pay $600 for a shirt that you could get at H&M for $20. The whole thing's a scam. They just, scam probably rich Arab kids who have billions of dollars, millions of dollars, and rappers who think it's cool to wear like $10,000 worth of clothes when all their friends are like poor and in jail. It's ridiculous. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm just like, Gucci is a scam, and it's not. Oh, dude, they had the whole thing is. Have you ever watched a fashion show? The whole thing is goofy. They're like walking around on stilts dressed as a giraffe. You just realized that the Gucci fashion show is retarded. No disrespect. Retarded is a dictionary definition as well. No disrespect to any mentally challenged people, but I just been using that word too often. It's all a scam. They like the whole makeup industry is a scam. And they're like, I don't want to name names, but they're like, ooh, this artist is really intersectional and a feminist with their makeup. They're making billions of dollars telling you you're not pretty enough and you need to be this shade of brown or this shade of white and this shade of red. And now you need to be black again and brown again and white again and pink again. It's all a scam. Just because they mix social justice on it, they're employing people in other countries who you can't do that legally in the United States. And then they're acting like they care about people. They're just using social justice now in America to sell you things, whether it be makeup, whether it be politicians, whether it be rappers that will get you killed or in jail or literally, you know, poisoned with pills, like the stuff that they're saying. And I'm not like a square. I like Jay-Z. I think he has very wise lyrics. I like a lot of stuff. I like a lot of old Outkast, and I've been pretty tuned out of new rap music, but there's a lot of rappers I really like. I just feel like politically they're very misleading the community. Thank you guys for the super chats. I'll try to read some. Not real social justice doesn't get through. I should really switch it up and play some Farrakhan. But even in the black community, you could say what you want about Farrakhan, but I'm convinced that he gets hated on by both sides, especially the right wing, because he actually has somewhat of humility and he tells both sides of the story, and he has self-accountability and self-awareness. And he's actually a legit black leader. I mean, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that here, but Farrakhan, you know, back in the day, he started the Million Man March. He got 1 million black people to march in Washington, D.C. Nowadays, we couldn't pull that off. I mean, people are too busy they're mad at Gucci because of blackface. They're mad at Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And, you know, Beyonce told him to go vote for Hillary. It's like, dude, I'd much rather listen to Farrakhan than all these people. Because he actually makes sense. Like, you listen to him outside of the context, and I'm not saying everything he says makes sense. I'm not justifying everything he says, but I'm convinced that they only want black leaders that are cookie cutter, screw up your own community. They're like, no self-accountability, no self-responsibility. Like, everything we do is great. Vote Democrat, vote liberal, hate Republicans, hate Fox News, like hate white people, hate men, be gay. And it's like, you can be gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay, but there's nothing wrong with being straight. That's like the normal order of society. And now they're demonizing straight black men and straight white men and straight Jewish men and straight Asian men. They don't want men to be with women. And I think it's largely because a woman by herself is vulnerable. A woman with a husband or a boyfriend is not so, or a father or a family or a good friend. They're not vulnerable, and they want us vulnerable in all our communities. And that's what a lot of rappers don't understand. They get the black aspect of it, but then they start punching the wrong ghost. They say they're coming for us. And it's true, they are. But you're punching the wrong person. And conservatives do it all the time. They're like, "Oh, Farrakhan." I'm like, dude, Farrakhan's not the problem. Stop punching Farrakhan. Thank you, Greg. Infowars Bear said global warming is a Gucci scam. Global warming was perpetrated by Gucci. No, I'm just playing. But let's see what we're talking about. Someone said Farrakhan hates white devils. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll play a Farrakhan clip, because listen what Farrakhan says. He doesn't hate everybody. He just hates bad people in every community. And all right, you know what? I'm gonna play a Farrakhan clip. And there's nothing wrong with hating white devils. If they're truly white and they're devils, what's wrong with that? If they're white and they're good people, that's when I have a problem. But let me see. Farrakhan. Let's go. We're getting real saucy tonight. I'm not giving you the cookie cutter stuff, guys. I'm not owned and controlled. Hold on. Let's see. Where we at?
Of the entire black community in Africa and the Middle.
Many people like Dr. Lincoln who think just arrived for me.
Hold on, guys. I'm getting the Farrakhan quote.
For them, everyone that stepped back would got. But I just raised.
Let's see.
They want me.
More from Louis Farrakhan on.
I'm getting the quote.
Does it send to your sympathy?
Should be applied. Because what you've done to the woman only.
All right, ready? Let's listen to some Farrakhan.
I look to see whether this reformed human, very little. She was both. Oh, so well.
Kabila was a
Whites, you've said so. And reconciliation is absolutely necessary. And we took that theme from Jewish tradition.
You don't trust the media, you've said so. You don't trust whites, you've said so. You don't trust Jews, you've said so.
Listen what he said.
Here I am, white, Jewish, and a reporter. So why in the world did you trust me enough to sit down to talk to me this way, Minister Farrakhan?
Let me say this. I would not say that all whites and all Jews and all media are untrustworthy. That is not a fair characterization of my
That's
thinking.
the perception of a lot of people in America.
Perception is not necessarily reality.
Take a look at this clip.
You are wicked deceivers of the American people. You have sucked their blood. You are not real Jews, those of you that are not real Jews. You are the synagogue of Satan. And you have wrapped your tentacles around the U.S. government. And you're deceiving and sending this nation to hell. But I warn you in the name of Allah, you would be wise to leave me alone. But if you choose to crucify me, know that Allah will crucify
Listen what he
you.
says, guys. Just listen what he says.
That's a message of reconciliation. It's bound to be perceived as anti-Semitic, and you know it, and you do it over and over again.
I quoted, the synagogue of Satan is part of a scripture in the book of Revelations, the 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter. It says, and I quote, those who say they are Jews and are not, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan.
The people you're talking to there, the people who saw that on television, they aren't students of the Bible as you are. They don't know the scripture as you do. What they hear, what I heard, was overtones of absolute, you were sticking it to the Jews once again.
In reality, Mr. Wallace, you know, I've heard whites and Jews say they're good and bad in every race.
Yeah.
And if they're good and bad in every race, does that not apply to Jews? Are they good Jews? And are there bad Jews? And if there are good Jews, what constitutes a good Jew?
Give me a list of a half a dozen good Jews.
No. Only God knows who the good are. There are good appearing Muslims, there are good appearing Christians, there are good appearing Jews, but God knows who is good. And so the good are those who live by the standard that makes you a Jew. Once you deviate from that standard, you're not a Jew anymore, from my vantage point.
Have you talked about bad Muslims?
Of course.
Who?
There are bad Muslims. There are Muslims who deviate from the path of God. I'm not anti-Semitic. I do not hate Jews. I want this to be very clear. I do not hate Jews. I do not hate people because their skin is white. What I hate is evil and injustice and exploitation, whether a black does it, whether a white does it, whether a Jew, a Muslim, or a Christian does it.
And Farrakhan.
See, regardless, I see what y'all are saying in the comments. Regardless whether you love or hate Farrakhan, he's speaking straight facts there. And that's the type of stuff that I'm bringing out because the media doesn't want you to hear that. If you want to hear the whole thing, it's a 60 minutes interview with Mike Wallace. It's amazing. And there's a lot of truth spoken, a lot of wisdom. He has self-accountability. He says that, you know, his community needs to stop getting taken advantage of and they need to step up. He explains also, I don't have a problem with all Jews or all Christians. He's just like, he's an 86-year-old black Muslim guy who watched, you know, some people think he was involved in Malcolm X's murder. I don't know if that's confirmed, but it is suspected. I don't think so, but some people do. But, you know, Gaddafi, MLK, I mean, Saddam Hussein was his friend. Like all his friends got murdered. So he's a little more upset sometimes, but he speaks a lot of truth where he's just like, they don't want you to question certain people. Like if you question a Muslim, they say you're Islamophobic. If you question a Jewish person, they say you're anti-Semitic. And if you question a Christian, I don't think they really care anymore. But yeah, it's an older interview. But regardless if you like him or you don't like him, whatever you think of him, what he said there is valid. And you're never going to hear that on the news. You're never going to hear a black activist say what he just said on the news anymore because they don't want you to hear that. I enjoy listening to it. I enjoy listening to him thoroughly. And I know that's not That's not a popular thing to say. It's just like I listen to Jewish people, I listen to Muslim people, I listen to Christian people. I just like the best of the best. And Louis Farrakhan's one of the best. And I don't deny that. But the reason I played that clip is because you're not going to hear that on the media. You're not going to hear the stuff that he's saying. And you take some good with the bad or whatever. Some people say you don't like it. Truth is the truth. And truth is, they don't want a black or a Jewish or a white or an Asian or a Hispanic leader in front of the music industry, in front of the entertainment industry, in front of, any single network pretty much anywhere. They don't want that energy. Like you'll never hear anybody in the music industry say what he just said. You'll never hear it. And that's not even the best clip. That's not the one I really wanted to show. It's a good one though. And I like what he said too, man. You guys can say what you want, but I like what he said too. They said, who's good and who's bad? Like, who's a good Muslim? Who's a bad Muslim? He said, only God can judge. Only God knows. I don't know, but God knows. It's a great answer. Like, he has a lot of humility and wisdom, and a lot of people who hate on him, that I don't see them speaking as wisely as him. Another part of that interview, Wallace said to him, he said, is it all white people's fault? And Farrakhan said, what you'll never hear any black liberal leader say. You'll never hear them say. He said, it would not be fair. It would not be honest if I said that it was all the white man's fault. He said, it's our fault too. And he's like, it's our fault for not stepping up and doing what we need to do. Like, we're not getting it done. He basically it was a call to Black America to be like, no, it's not just the white man's fault. We have to do our part, and we're not doing our part. And the truth is, I'll call out white America and Jewish America and Islam America, whatever you want to say. I'll make my comments about everything, but it's the same thing now. They want you to not be self-accountable or self-responsible, not because you're going to get some sort of goal or gain from it. It's because if you're not self-accountable or self-aware, that's the power that you control, whether it be via religion, via God, or whether it be through strong mentality. They don't want you to be powerful. And regardless of your financial situation, that's where the power is, in self-accountability and self-awareness. And they don't want you to have it, not because it's really good for you. It's because then you'll think that empowerment means looking for the government for handouts. But in order to get handouts, they take it from working class people. So if you're black and you own a business or you work anywhere, there's a reason that they take 30% of your paycheck. There's a reason that they want to take 40% of your paycheck. If you work, which is probably most of the people here, they're stealing your money. And the left wing wants to take more and more and more. But we already know that business model doesn't work. Highest taxes in California. Number one in poverty. It doesn't work. Big government doesn't work. And I think people know that. That Farrakhan clip was just to break the matrix. And that's what I barely even talked about Joy Via's dress, but I'm trying to break the matrix, because when you're stuck in the matrix, you're just a sheep who's going to get played by the government. And so many people my age and musicians and activists, they're stuck in the matrix because they're afraid to break out because of the social backlash. If you do what Joy Via did, obviously that's a big thing where you're asking for attention, but that was great. What I'm saying is, even if you do it on a small scale and you're like, oh, I like low taxes, they'll send the mob at you, and people know. So they're like, oh, I support Nike, I support Kaepernick. Like, that's the safe, easy thing to do. That's the, pretend to love. Oh, I stand up for black activism. You're just a sheep. What I'm doing, this is real black activism. This is telling people, listen, you're getting played, you're getting duped, you're getting lied to. This is how you empower yourself. This is what lots of people do. Not enough, but I'm just keeping it real. Dave B said, for what, off the subject, do you use cryptos, Bitcoin? I'm invested in crypto. I have some. I didn't win out, so I should have sold earlier, but I have it. I'm just riding along. I'm not big in it. I'm not anti it. I'm impartial now. So I'm not huge in crypto, but I got it. Misted Dragon said, much love, brother. Just found you. Glad I did. You make a lot of sense. We need to see beyond what they feel we are and will allow and to see and know. Honestly, I can't speak for everything that Farrakhan's done, but Farrakhan's like a black Trump in a way. You listen to the way the media was trying to spin him. They say, you don't like the media. You don't like white people. You don't like Jews. Like, that's the same thing they say to Trump. They say, you don't like Mexicans. You don't like black people. And Trump's like, you don't like the media. It's the same thing. whether it's Alex Jones, Farrakhan, Trump, name someone else unpopular. I mean, there are actually genuinely shitty people, but I don't believe these narratives about them, because I listen to what other people say about them, and then I listened to them and I was like, wow, that's so much better than what they said about you. Even if I agree or disagree, like, give me the real source. And I always tell people, the media wants you to believe what they say about people. What they don't want you to do is go listen to that person and make your own informed decision. They want you to be a sheep. And that's what everyone, build a wall dress, bad. Trump hat, bad. Trump, bad. Trump is doing so much incredible things overseas. You realize that he's saving millions of lives from potentially getting enslaved like Libya. He stopped $1 billion intelligence agency program, which was funding rebels, which many people, including Democratic candidate Tulsi Gabbard, thinks are terrorists that we were funding with your taxpayer money. That you're hey, let's give them more money and not talk about the wars. It's mental enslavement. Joe said, Anomaly, will you please take $4 from this donation and watch the movie 1984? It's a powerful representation of the book. I hope I can persuade a few fellow viewers to do the same. Sure. Where can I buy the movie? I'll do that. I have a little thing now. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Read a few more. Someone said Trotsky and Lenin killed 60 million people. Communism and socialism has never worked. I should get you could look it up yourself. Cornel West, who I used to really like and respect, and I still respect him and like him a little bit, but he was on Tucker Carlson, and Tucker said, socialism's worked 0% of the time. And he said, yeah, I know. It's like building a building that keeps falling and you say, no, it's going to work this time. It doesn't work because the whole ideology is flawed. It's based on big government control. It doesn't push people to be, when you have a kid, I'm not a parent, but when you have a kid, if you baby them too much, they're going to be weak. You don't want to baby them too much, but you also don't want to be too reckless. But you can't baby people. When you have all these big social programs and you baby people and you weaken people, think about what they're doing. Think about what they promote on Twitter and what they promote on the TV. They promote weakness. They promote literally like an inverted reality to strength. It's okay to be weaker. Some people can't help it in certain elements of their life, including us all, but it's not like what you really want. You know what I'm saying? They push that everywhere. And then they pump these big government programs. It's not to help the people who need help. We should have a social safety net, exactly, for those people. But they want more and more people to be as pathetic as possible so they control as many people as possible. It's very simple. Let's see what we're talking about in the comments, man. God bless you guys. Let's see what else we get. You know what? While we're at it, I'm going to play some Howard Schultz. Because he's getting a bad rap in the media too. We'll go from Nation of Islam, Louis Farrakhan, to Jewish Democrat Howard Schultz, just to show you. Howard Schultz, what's his name? Morning, Howard Schultz on Morning Joe. Dude, if you read the press about this guy, and I don't agree with everything he says either, but listen to what he actually says. It makes total sense. That's why they don't like him. Oh, you watched it on YouTube? Yeah. All right, let's see. This is the guy who thinks he's running independent, the Starbucks CEO. He's not just an old white douchey guy. He's actually very intelligent, and he's way better than other politicians, including the ones that Beyonce and Oprah are probably going to promote. But they don't like him because he doesn't like the Democratic Party. He doesn't like the two-party system, and he genuinely is going to try to disrupt the system from the outside. Let's listen.
It's not my opinion. Let me finish. Count. No, absolutely not. Counts. No, let me finish. So what I believe is if we proceed, we will be on the ballot of every.
To say, Mike Bloomberg is not our proxy either. That Willie and I keep asking him to let us have some of his money.
That's a hard.
Want some of his money?
Howard, there are two strains of the criticism. By the way, you haven't gotten into the race yet. You said you're thinking about getting into the race. The one strain is what we heard from Mike Bloomberg, who says, Howard, I respect you, but I've been there. You can't win as an independent. The other strain of it was captured, I think, this morning. Jim Messina, who of course led President Obama's campaigns in 2008 and again in 2012, and is viewed as the mastermind behind that, said this, quote, of you, "He can't win, and he could seriously damage our ability to beat Donald Trump. He should either run as a Democrat or spend his time and money doing something that won't ruin the world." That's from Jim Messina. Why not just run as a Democrat? We know you are a Democrat. You've given to Hillary Clinton. You've supported her candidacy.
I have been a Democrat, but I am.
So are you no longer a Democrat?
No, I'm not a Democrat. I don't affiliate myself with the Democratic Party, who's so far left, who basically wants the government to take over healthcare, which we cannot afford, the government to give free college to everybody, and the government to give everyone a job, which basically is $40 trillion on the balance sheet of $21.5 trillion. We can't afford it. What can we do? What we need is comprehensive tax reform. What we need is sensible solutions to immigration. All of these things cannot happen under the current environment. Now, I've also been criticized for being a billionaire. Let's talk about that. I'm self-made. I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn, New York. I thought that was the American dream, the aspiration of America. You're going to criticize me for being successful when in my company over the last 30 years, the only company in America that gave comprehensive health insurance, equity in the form of stock options, and free college tuition, and Elizabeth Warren wants to criticize me for being successful? No.
So let me just follow up on that, Howard, because I think the criticism is not that you want to run for president. The criticism is that if you do run in this middle lane where votes are so precious, as we saw last time, you could steal just enough to cost Democrats the election. So why not?
Really, it's not true.
But why not make the argument you just made within the Democratic
Because
primary?
I would have to be disingenuous to run as a Democrat because I do not believe in what the Democratic Party stands for. And most importantly, the American people, not the people in Washington and not the people in New York. The American people want a change. The American people realize the government is not working.
Right.
It's not a statistic that 40% of American people don't have $400 in a bank, or 50 or 5 million kids in America are not in school, not working. Those are not statistics. Those are people.
But not all Democrats want Medicare.
I want to help
You're citing Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren. Not all Democrats want Medicare for all. Why couldn't you get in the Democratic race and make the case you're making right now as a centrist Democrat?
Because I think the country needs transformation. The government needs to be disrupted. It's not working. How much evidence do you have? Give me one thing. Show me one thing in which you can say firmly the government is really working. We don't have the shutdown of the government for a month. 800,000 people not working. What's working? I mean, I spent the last 5 years really spending a lot of time with veterans, trying to understand the veteran issue, and hiring veterans and giving money to veterans. And then I went to the VA. You know what the budget is for the VA? You have any idea?
$200 billion.
Take a guess. Take a guess.
I don't have the number off.
Just take a guess. Anyone?
$40 billion.
$200 billion. The VA. $200 billion. It's tragic. There's nothing working in the government. So why should we vote in a Democrat and or a Republican to just continue the broken system and embrace the status quo?
You don't think you could disrupt it the way Donald Trump disrupted the Republican Party? He's not really a Republican, but he found that as his vessel to get into the White House.
No, but no.
I'm not saying you want to behave like he does as president, but it was his way into the White House.
No, I think this is a time in America for complete reimagination. And what I'm going to try and do is go out to the American people and ignite a powerful movement. And I believe not people in New York, not people in DC. I'm hearing from thousands of American people, thousands saying, finally, someone's voice that I can relate to that represents the fact that I no longer feel as if I'm a Republican.
That's what they said about Trump. Finally, someone's voice I can relate to.
Well, I'm not Donald Trump. I mean, I've run a public company for 26 years, and in doing so, gave people real value.
You just said, Howard, and I'm quoting you, I don't believe what the Democratic Party stands for. Give me 5 issues that the Democratic Party stands for today that you don't agree with.
I just gave you 3.
What are they?
Government takeover of healthcare, free college for everyone, a free job for everybody. And the Democrats and the Republicans under the last 20 years on both parties have been complicit in creating a $21.5 trillion debt that is a reckless, immoral abandonment of leadership. And the fact is, the Republicans and Democrats are not trusted by the American people. They're not trusted. The problem in America is that we have no leadership that's trusted. The dignity and respect in the Oval Office is gone. and Republican Democrats no longer represent the essence of the American people. All I'm trying to do is say to the American people, I'm thinking of running for president as a centrist independent. If you would.
All right, so I don't know where he stands on a lot of things because there's a lot of issues that matter to me. So I've heard some things. Most of the stuff I really like that he says. Some things I really didn't like. So I'm not telling you to go out and vote for Howard Schultz. What I'm telling you, he's not even sure he's going to run. What I am saying is, though, the reason this is a matrix breaking episode, I'm not telling you who to vote for. The reason that the media doesn't like him isn't because he's white. It's not because he's old. It's not because he owns Starbucks. It's not because he's not in touch with the people. They don't like him. It's not because he doesn't know how much Cheerios cost. I don't know either. Who cares about Cheerios? I eat bananas. They don't like him because he doesn't want to run Democrat. They don't like him because he's calling out the Democrats. They don't like him because he doesn't like big government control. He's actually more of like a Reagan fan, actually, as a Democrat. Pretty weird, but he knows that they're going the wrong route, and they are. So it's like, that's why they don't like him. You can decide whether you like him or not. I'm not your moral judge, but see what they do to people in the media. Do you get why I'm playing Farrakhan? Do you get why I'm playing Howard Schultz? Do you get why I'm talking about Trump? You have a Christian white guy, you have a Jewish white guy, you have a Muslim black guy. You can have your opinion about them, love or hate them, but the media and social media and entertainment industries do not want you to break the matrix. You don't have to like Farrakhan. You don't have to like Howard Schultz. You don't have to like Trump, but they don't want you to break the matrix, and they don't want you to consider it. They don't want you to listen to Farrakhan and say, you know what? I disagree with that, and that, but I agree with that, and that. They don't want you to listen to Trump and say, you know what? I wouldn't have said it like that, but he's not lying. I mean, he basically just said what everybody knows, and they just have to lie to themselves. They don't want you to listen to Howard Schultz and say, you know what? I actually like this guy way more than I like the Democratic Party. This is what they do. And now I might actually talk about the dress and joy after this whole intro that is very, very important. Castonia said, President Trump has proven himself to be an effective, powerful, and genuine leader of the USA. The amount of disrespect, deprecation among his actions, his office is disgusting and anti-American. And here's the thing. Euletheria Bear said, this guy's clever. He's running a risk mitigation strategy. If he splits the anti-Trump communist vote, he doesn't get crucified by communists. He's a real contender, man. He could take people from both sides, and he's right. You could win. Nowadays, you can do anything. So he can win as an independent. They're like, what about Ross Perot? I like this guy, man. He's like, I'm not Ross Perot. He's got confidence. Aussie Mom said, hi, Aussie in Canada. I'm a mother of a 10-year-old boy. You give me hope for the future and young people today. Keep up the good work. MAGA, this filters to all corners of the world. Thank you so much. Yeah, God bless you. I won't let liberals ruin your kid. I'll do what I can. But I've come to the hold on. Before the super chats, I was going to say something. Let me try to think where I was. I don't remember exactly. Let me scroll up and then. Oh, yeah. Thank you. It was off the first super chat. So a lot of people on the left, a lot of people that are, activists and such, they really hated on Trump hard because of how he was perceived and maybe how he acted in some ways. But what you're realizing about Tulsi Gabbard, and Howard Schultz, they're getting smeared in the same exact way. They're saying David Duke, former KKK member, supports Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has nothing to do with it. She just is caught in the media crossfire, and he happens to like her because of foreign policy. You have Howard Schultz, who's getting crushed by the media. So a lot of people hate on Trump on the left and say, ooh, why does Trump act like that? But now that they're getting hit like that, I have a question, and it's truly a question. It's not a statement. Is the way Trump acted maybe the only way to beat the crazy, insane media and celebrity elite cult class? It might be, because Howard Schultz and Tulsi Gabbard, they might not be strong enough, and then they might be too weak, where Trump is powerful, and maybe he had to freak out and flex out and troll in order to beat them. And maybe now that Howard Schultz and Tulsi it's happening to, they're like, whoa, I don't know how to handle it. It's like, well, that's karma for not supporting your brother, and now you're getting the same treatment, and you're not Trumpy enough. Trump won. Love him or hate him, he won the presidency office. He had the biggest upset in modern American history, and he's truly not a Democrat, not a Republican, a billionaire who's not emboldened to the industries, who's literally stopping wars with North Korea. with Syria, you know, potentially with other countries. We'll see. Dude, Trump is not who they said he was. Now let's actually talk about the actual dress. So I saw some people in the comment section say, yes, her name was Joy Villa, who wore the dress. And the wall is a whole thing that is misconstrued as well, because even during the election, I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't care about the wall, but I never thought, like, I was never brainwashed enough by the media. Even when Trump was saying it, I don't think I was ever brainwashed enough to think that it was that terrible. Like, I was like, dude, I don't think it's not like a top 10 priority for me. However, I don't think I was ever like, oh, like if he built it, he builds it. Like he builds it. Like it's not that big of a deal. They just want votes. So they've taken the narrative of like, we're going to stop the wall. It's a game. It's a game. And there are drug problems. I think 70%, I'm not sure, but you can look it up. 70% of heroin comes from Mexico. You have human trafficking, thousands of young girls getting raped and kidnapped. You have, you know, Huffington Post and other statistics saying up to 80% of young women and girls are getting raped coming from Central America. There's other problems besides us when it comes to Mexico, Central America, the border. So it's not that crazy. Like, even if you don't like Trump and you love immigrants, we all love immigrants. We're all family of immigrants. There's a difference between immigrants and basic safety and security for your country, and then you let normal immigration flow. So I like the fact that her dress is sparking all these conversations, from mind control media to basic common sense. Count Rhythm said, the thing is, when leftists get smeared by the media, Gabbard and Schultz, their leftist supporters will realize Trump was right. Fake news. Some of them will, but some of them won't. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, that's why I always say, keep it real with yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, you're gonna buy lies of other people. And there's some people who they'll never get it. I mean, to give you an example, not to be mean, because I really like him, Tim Pool, he's anti-government, anti-media, yet he's anti, basically, like, you know, like he's like a walking conundrum, and then he still supports progressive policies. It's just like, dude, like, some people will never get it. So it's like, if you don't get it at this point, maybe you'll get it later. And I'm not trying to be mean, because I really do like the work he does, but it's like, how can you be anti-government and big government at the same time? I don't understand what part of it doesn't work. Do you not understand? Please do a video on HR 5736 and S.324 propaganda. Is that the one that passed on Christmas a few years ago, that legalized propaganda? I know about it. I've heard about it. I don't talk about it much because I don't know what effect it'll have if I talk about it. The people who know, the people who don't. Someone say you should have a discussion with Tim Pool. Yeah, I'll reach out to him. All right, we'll take a few more questions. Then I'm going to roll out early. I think this is long enough, and I don't want to make it so long that people don't listen to what I'm saying. So anybody else got some rare questions, and then we're going to roll out. God bless you. God bless America. God bless your family. God bless the world. God bless every race, religion, gender, creed, and color in this country and all over the world. I'm going to say a prayer for you now. And also, the reason I did this real quick, I'm going to just say a prayer over it. I'm trying to wake people up from the mind control media and from the fact that, you know, the elites, the media, and also the big government takeovers of the world are using social justice, and they're using our hobbies and our passions and our music and our entertainment and our culture to socially manipulate us into thinking we are who we aren't, so that we are weak, so that we are foolish, so that we are naive, so that we follow false leaders, so that we want to hand our money and power and personal liberties to the federal government. So we attack people who actually try to help us. So we embrace a culture of poverty. So we embrace a culture of violence and habits that will end us up in prison or dead or very, very weak and very, very dependent by the government. This is not a coincidental. This is all by design, and they will not stop, and they will not tell you. They will use things that you love that you think you can't question. Like, oh, I'm not against Kaepernick because I'm such a good social activist. They want you to feel that way. They use things that you almost can't deny, so that you blindly walk down the path of hell, and that when somebody tries to show you the light to freedom, to personal liberty, to more money, to more success, to better people, to good energy, to good vibes, to good habits, to good spirit, to good culture, You reject it and you say, get away. I don't want the truth. I don't want love. I don't want true compassion. I don't want success. I don't want wealth, mentally, physically, spiritually, and health-wise. I don't want it. This is my culture. This is who I am. These are the rappers I listen to. This is the media I listen to. This is the television I consume. And I believe them. I believe these actors who were sent here to tell me what they want me to believe. I believe these actors who were sent here to tell me big government's cool. Acting a fool is cool, and anybody who tells you otherwise, who loves the country or basic common sense security, when this world is a multi-layered problem, where in Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Iran, women do not have the freedoms that they have here. In Libya and many parts in Africa, both black and white do not have the freedoms and the safety that they have here. They do not want us to love our country. They do not want us to love ourselves. They do not want us to love our skin color, and that's why they send us tanning cream, tanning salons, bleaching cream to make yourself whiter, blacker, blue, pink, purple, this, that. They don't want you to love yourself. They don't want you to love your skin color. They don't want you to love your family. They don't want you to love God. And I'm going to end on that. God bless you guys. That's the prayer for the day. Hopefully you took something away from this stream. Very, very, very rare. See you.